I thought my wedding night would be champagne and romance, until paramedics had to separate my husband from my maid of honor with industrial solvents. Everyone pitied the bride who was betrayed, but they didn't know I was the one who switched the bottles. Let me paint you a picture. It's 11:47 p.m. at the Grand Pavilion Hotel, the presidential honeymoon suite that cost more than most people's cars. Rose petals scattered across silk sheets. Champagne chilling in a silver bucket. Everything perfect for a romantic first night as husband and wife. Except my husband wasn't with me. He was in the bedroom, literally stuck, skin to my maid of honor. And I mean stuck. Industrial adhesive strong enough to bond metal, now bonding two cheating bodies together in the most incriminating position imaginable. They were screaming, both of them. Crying, panicking, trying to pull apart, and realizing with horror that the adhesive wasn't budging. Every movement just spread it further. Hands, torsos, legs, even her hair tangled in the mess. And me? I was standing in the doorway in my white silk robe, arms crossed, watching paramedics in protective gear assess the situation with expressions that said they'd never seen anything like this in their entire careers. "Mrs. Chen," the lead paramedic said, barely hiding her shock. We're going to need to transport both of them to the emergency room. This is beyond our field capabilities." "Both of them?" I asked sweetly. "In the same ambulance?" She caught the dangerous calm in my voice. "Yes, ma'am. They're not going anywhere separately." Behind her, my husband Marcus was screaming threats. My former best friend Amber was sobbing hysterically. Hotel security was taking photos. Police officers were writing reports. And I was smiling. Because 4 hours earlier, I'd been a devastated bride discovering the ultimate betrayal. Now, I was the architect of the most legendary wedding night revenge story the internet would ever see. Before I tell you how a kindergarten teacher who rescues injured birds became the woman who glued her husband to his mistress, hit subscribe and tell me where you're watching from. Trust me, this gets wilder, way wilder. My name is Sarah Mitchell. Well, it was Mitchell. Then it was Chen for exactly 8 hours and 43 minutes. Now it's back to Mitchell, and I've never been happier to reclaim my own name. I'm a kindergarten teacher. Yes, I know. The irony isn't lost on me. I spend my days teaching 5-year-olds about sharing, kindness, and using their words instead of their fists. And then I went and glued 2 adults together on my wedding night. But we'll get to that. Growing up, I was that girl. You know the one. The girl who cried during sad commercials, who rescued injured birds and nursed them back to health in shoeboxes, who volunteered at animal shelters on weekends and baked cookies for the elderly neighbors. My family called me Sunshine Sarah because I smiled at everyone and believed the best in people. My childhood was textbook normal. Dad's an accountant, Robert Mitchell, the kind of man who still opens doors for my mom and has never missed a single one of my birthdays. Mom's a nurse, Margaret, with hands that heal and a heart that's never met a stray she wouldn't feed. We had the suburban house, the white picket fence, family dinners every Sunday where we'd go around the table sharing our week's highlights. I was raised to believe in fairness, in kindness, in the idea that if you're good to people, they'll be good to you, that true love exists, that happily ever after isn't just a fairy tale, it's something you can actually build with the right person. I believed in soulmates, in romance, in wedding vows that actually meant something. I also believed that being the bigger person meant walking away from conflict, that revenge was beneath dignified people, that nice girls don't make scenes or cause trouble. Turns out, I believed a lot of incredibly stupid things. But there was one person in my life who tried to warn me. My grandmother, Adelaide Mitchell. God, I miss her. She was nothing like me. Sharp-tongued, tough as nails, the kind of woman who built a real estate empire in the 1960s when banks wouldn't even give women business loans without a man's signature. She fought for every dollar, every property, every ounce of respect in a world designed to keep her down. And she despised weakness. "Sarah," she'd tell me, shaking her head as she watched me give away my lunch money to a classmate who forgot theirs for the 3rd time that week, "you're too nice. The world will eat you alive if you don't grow a spine." "Grandma," I'd laugh, Being nice is a good thing. It's called being a good person. Being nice is fine, she'd counter, fixing me with those steel gray eyes. Being a doormat gets you walked on. And baby girl, you're lying down and handing people the welcome mat. I never understood what she meant. Not really. Not until it was too late. When Grandma Adelaide died 2 years ago, she left me everything. $2.3 million in a trust fund. Her entire life's work passed down to her only granddaughter. But there was a catch, a weird, old-fashioned provision that seemed romantic at the time but turned out to be prophetic. I couldn't touch a single cent until 6 months after I got married. Her lawyer explained it during the reading of the will. It was Grandma's way of ensuring financial security in marriage, of making sure any man I married would prove his commitment before the money became accessible. A test of true intentions. At the time, Marcus and I had just gotten engaged. We laughed about it over dinner that night. Like I'd marry you for money, he said, reaching across the table to hold my hand, his dark eyes warm and sincere. Sarah, I make 6 figures at the firm. I don't need your inheritance. I just need you. He kissed my knuckles and I melted. I actually believed him. But Grandma Adelaide knew something I didn't. 6 figures is never enough for some men. 2.3 million though. That's worth a long con. Worth lying every single day for years. Worth planning, manipulating, and destroying someone who loved you. Worth marrying the nice girl who'd never suspect a thing. What I didn't know that night over dinner, what I wouldn't discover until 4 hours before my wedding, was that Marcus had been planning this from the moment he learned about the trust fund. And he wasn't planning it alone. Marcus Chen walked into my life 6 years ago at a mutual friend's housewarming party. I was 22, fresh out of college, and had just started my first teaching job. He was 26, working his way up at a prestigious investment firm, charming and confident in ways I'd never been. He pursued me. That's what made it feel so real. I didn't chase him, he chased me, texted first, called when he said he would, showed up at my classroom after school with coffee and genuine interest in hearing about my day with the kids. He remembered small details, that I loved tulips more than roses, that I was allergic to shellfish, that my favorite movie was The Princess Bride because I'd watched it 1,000 times with my dad. He seemed perfect, attentive, romantic, stable, everything I'd been raised to believe a good partner should be. Our relationship progressed like a storybook. Weekend trips to vineyards, cooking dinner together in his downtown apartment, meeting each other's families. My parents adored him. His parents welcomed me warmly. He fit seamlessly into my life, and I into his. After 4 years together, Marcus proposed on a beach in Santorini at sunset. He got down on one knee in the sand, tears streaming down his face, and said I was his forever. His voice cracked when he called me his soulmate. The ring was beautiful, a princess-cut diamond that caught the Greek sunlight and made me gasp. I said yes before he even finished asking. Planning the wedding became my entire world for the next 2 years. I wanted everything perfect. The venue, St. Catherine's Cathedral for the ceremony, Grand Pavilion Hotel ballroom for the reception. The flowers, white roses and peonies everywhere. The dress, custom-made ivory silk with delicate lace sleeves, exactly like I'd dreamed since I was a little girl. And for my maid of honor, there was only one choice, Amber Rodriguez. Amber and I had been best friends since freshman year of college. We'd been roommates, study partners, each other's +1s to every event. She'd held my hair back during bad breakups and celebrated every victory. When Marcus proposed, she was the first person I called after my parents. She screamed so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. "You're going to be the most beautiful bride," she'd squealed. "And I'm going to be right there beside you. This is everything you've ever wanted, Sarah. Everything." She was right. It was everything I'd ever wanted. The planning brought us even closer. Amber helped with everything. Dress shopping, cake tasting, choosing centerpieces. Sometimes she and Marcus would handle wedding tasks together when I was swamped with work. "We're tag teaming this for you," Amber would text. "Just crossed off 3 more items on your checklist." I thought I was lucky. 2 people I loved most, working together to make my dream wedding happen. Looking back now, I can see the red flags. They were there all along, waving frantically, but I was too trusting to notice. Marcus was always on his phone. Always. During dinners, during movies, even during conversations. "Work emergency," he'd say, typing rapidly. "Market's crazy right now." I believed him because I wanted to believe him. When Marcus insisted on a prenup, I was actually touched. "I want an infidelity clause," he said seriously. "If either of us cheats, the cheater gets nothing in a divorce. I want you to know I'd never betray you, Sarah. This is my proof." I signed it thinking it was romantic. Proof of his commitment. He asked about the trust fund timeline constantly. "So 6 months after the wedding, right? Just want to make sure I understand Grandma Adelaide's terms correctly." He'd pull up spreadsheets, showing how we could invest it, grow it for our future kids. "Our future," he'd say, kissing my forehead. "Everything's for our future." I noticed that Amber's long-term boyfriend Jake suddenly wasn't in the picture anymore. 5 years together, and then one day she announced they'd broken up. "Just wasn't right," she'd said vaguely. "I want what you and Marcus have, you know? Real love." She'd looked at Marcus when she said it. I caught the glance but misread it completely. I thought she was envious of our relationship. I didn't realize she was already in it. 200 guests confirmed. Honeymoon suite booked. Dress fitted perfectly. Vows written and rewritten until every word felt right. Everything was perfect. Until the morning of my wedding, when I found Marcus's phone unlocked in our honeymoon suite, and my entire world shattered. The morning of my wedding, I woke up at 6 a.m. in my childhood bedroom. My dress hung on the closet door like a ghost of the future I thought I was walking into. Mom was already downstairs making her famous blueberry pancakes, our tradition for big days. Dad was whistling in the hallway. Everything felt magical, surreal. Like I was floating through the best dream of my life. I decided to sneak over to the hotel early, before Marcus was supposed to be there. We weren't supposed to see each other before the ceremony. Bad luck, tradition, all that. But I wanted to leave him a note, something romantic for him to find when he arrived to get ready. A love letter to read before we said our vows. I had it all written out on fancy cardstock. "In 4 hours, I become yours forever. I can't wait to start our always. All my love, Sarah." The hotel gave me a key to the honeymoon suite. It was already paid for, already ours. I let myself in quietly at 7:30, expecting the room to be empty. That's when I saw it. Sitting on the nightstand, plugged into the charger. Marcus's phone. He must have come by earlier, maybe dropped it off with his things. The screen was facing up, unlocked. And as I stood there holding my romantic note like an idiot, a notification lit up the screen. Amber wrote, "Can't wait for tonight, baby. Your wife will be sleeping while you're buried inside of me." I read it 3 times before my brain could process the words. "Your wife, tonight, while you're buried inside of me." My hands started shaking. This had to be a mistake. Some weird joke. Maybe Amber texted the wrong person, but I knew Amber's number. I'd known it for 10 years. And the message said, "Your wife." I picked up the phone with trembling fingers. No passcode, it opened right to the messages. To a conversation between Marcus and Amber that went back months. Hundreds of messages. I scrolled, my heart pounding so hard I thought I might pass out right there on the plush hotel carpet. Marcus wrote, "Last night was incredible. You're so much more adventurous than her." "So much more fun," Amber replied. "That's because she's boring, babe. Sweet, but boring. You deserve someone who can keep up with you." Marcus wrote, 6 more months after the wedding and her trust fund is legally accessible. Then we can figure out our next move." Amber replied, "Can't believe you're actually going through with marrying her. You really think she doesn't suspect anything?" Marcus wrote, "Sarah, please. She's the most trusting person on the planet. She thinks everyone is good. It's honestly almost too easy. Like taking candy from a kid." Amber replied, "What happens after the 6 months, after you get access to the money?" Marcus wrote, "We'll figure it out. Maybe I stay married to her for a while, keep up appearances. Maybe we split and I take half. Either way, that $2.3 million is worth playing the long game." Amber replied, "I just want to be with you for real. No more sneaking around." Marcus wrote, "Soon, baby, I promise. Just need to get through this wedding and play devoted husband for a few months. Then we're set. I couldn't breathe. Literally could not pull air into my lungs. The room started spinning. I grabbed the edge of the nightstand to keep from falling. 6 years. 6 years of my life. Every kiss, every I love you, every plan for our future. All of it was a lie. A calculated con to steal my grandmother's money. And Amber. My best friend. The woman I'd asked to stand beside me at the altar. She'd been sleeping with my fiancé, mocking me, calling me boring, planning to steal from me. I looked at the time. 7:47 a.m. 4 hours until the ceremony. 200 guests already traveling to the venue. My parents downstairs making pancakes, my dad probably already tearing up thinking about walking his little girl down the aisle. The non-refundable deposits. The venue, the catering, the photographer, the band. $75,000 already spent. And the humiliation. Oh God, the humiliation of calling it off. Of telling everyone why. Of being pitied as the stupid girl who didn't see it coming, who trusted the wrong people, who was too boring, too naive, too trusting. They'd won. Marcus and Amber had played me perfectly, and they'd won. In a few hours, I'd walk down that aisle and legally bind myself to a man who saw me as a paycheck. I'd smile for photos with a woman who'd been betraying me for months. I'd say vows that meant nothing to the groom, and they thought I had no idea. They thought sweet, stupid Sunshine Sarah was going to make them rich. I stood there in that honeymoon suite, still holding my romantic note, Marcus's phone in my other hand, my wedding dress waiting at home, and something inside me cracked. I made it back to my parents' house on autopilot. I don't remember driving, don't remember parking. I just suddenly found myself standing in my childhood bedroom, staring at my wedding dress hanging on the closet door. My mother knocked softly. "Sweetie, the makeup artist will be here in an hour. You should eat something." "I'm okay, Mom," I heard myself say. "Just need a few minutes." The door closed. I was alone. I looked at myself in the full-length mirror, still in jeans and a t-shirt, my hair messy from the morning, face pale, eyes red from crying silently in the car. In a few hours I'd put on that dress, do my hair, paint my face with makeup, smile for photos, and walk down an aisle toward a man who was counting down the days until he could legally steal from me. 6 years of my life, gone. Every memory now tainted with the knowledge that it was all fake. Every I love you was a transaction. Every romantic gesture was an investment in the con. Every time he held me, he was thinking about someone else, about Amber, about my money, my best friend. 10 years of friendship, 10 years of secrets shared, tears cried together, dreams built side by side. She'd helped me pick out my wedding dress, told me I looked like a princess, hugged me and said she was so happy for me. And the whole time she was sleeping with Marcus, laughing at how boring I was, how easy I was to deceive, how stupid I was to trust them. I was about to marry a con artist, legally bind myself to a fraud, give him access to everything my grandmother had worked her entire life to build. And if I canceled, if I told everyone the truth right now, the humiliation would be unbearable. Poor Sarah. Stupid Sarah. Sarah who didn't see what was happening right under her nose. Sarah who was too naive, too trusting, too pathetic to realize her fiancé was using her. The pity would be worse than the betrayal. I was trapped. Completely, utterly trapped. Cancel the wedding, be publicly humiliated, lose $75,000, break my parents' hearts, and become the cautionary tale everyone whispered about. Go through with it. Be legally married to a man who saw me as a paycheck. Watch him access my grandmother's money in 6 months, probably get divorced shortly after while he kept half of everything. Either way, they won. My phone buzzed. A text message. Amber wrote, "Getting my hair done. You're the most gorgeous bride ever. Love you to the moon." Something inside me snapped. Love you to the moon. The same thing we'd been saying to each other since college. Our special phrase, our bond, while she was fucking my fiancé and calling me boring behind my back. I slid down the wall, my back against the door, and sat on my childhood bedroom floor in my jeans and t-shirt, staring at that message. The makeup artist would be here soon. Then the photographer. Then my bridesmaids, including Amber with her perfectly styled hair and her lies and her text to Marcus about tonight. about my wedding night, about sleeping with my husband while I was unconscious in the next room. I felt something rising in my chest. Not sadness anymore, not shock, rage, pure, white-hot crystalline rage. I'd spent 28 years being nice, being kind, being the bigger person, rescuing birds and volunteering and teaching kids to share and smile at everyone and trust that good things happen to good people. And where had it gotten me? Used, betrayed, about to be robbed by the two people I trusted most in the world. Grandma Adelaide's voice echoed in my head, "You're too nice. The world will eat you alive if you don't grow a spine." I looked at my reflection in the mirror across the room. At sweet, stupid sunshine Sarah sitting on the floor like a broken doll. That Sarah was dying anyway. Murdered by betrayal in a bedroom that still had her high school gymnastics trophies on the shelf. But someone else was being born. Someone who'd been buried under years of niceness and naivety and desperate need to believe people were good. Someone who was done being the victim. I stood up slowly, my legs steady now, my hands no longer shaking. I had 4 hours until the ceremony, 4 hours to plan, 4 hours to transform from prey into predator. I opened my laptop and started researching industrial adhesives, dissolution rates, toxicity levels, medical intervention requirements. Marcus and Amber wanted to play games with my life? Fine, let's play. I sat at my laptop, fingers flying across the keyboard, and for the first time in hours, I felt something other than devastation. I felt powerful. Because Marcus and Amber had made one critical mistake, they underestimated me. They saw a kindergarten teacher who cried at commercials, a nice girl who always gave people second chances, someone too sweet, too boring, too stupid to fight back. They didn't see what was underneath all that niceness, intelligence, planning ability, the same methodical research skills that helped me create lesson plans and manage 25 5-year-olds without losing my mind. The same strategic thinking that came from years of chess with my father and debate team in high school. I wasn't just nice, I was smart. And now I was motivated. First, I secured the evidence. I took Marcus's phone, still sitting in the honeymoon suite where he'd carelessly left it, and screenshot every single message between him and Amber. Months of conversations. Every incriminating text about the affair, about my trust fund, about their plans to use me. I uploaded them to a cloud storage account they couldn't access. Emailed copies to myself. Printed physical copies and sealed them in an envelope that I'd give to my parents later with instructions not to open unless something happened to me. Evidence secured. Next, I reviewed the prenup Marcus had insisted on, the one with the infidelity clause. I read every word carefully and a cold smile spread across my face. If either party engages in infidelity during the marriage, said party forfeits all claims to marital assets, spousal support, and any jointly acquired property. Marcus had written this himself, so confident he'd never be the one caught. So sure I was too boring to stray, and too trusting to catch him. The prenup would protect me. But only if I was legally married first. Then I researched my grandmother's trust fund terms with her lawyer's documents. Adelaide Mitchell had been thorough. The money became accessible 6 months after marriage, yes, but there were protections built in. The funds would remain in my name only unless I explicitly added someone to the account. If I divorced within the first 2 years, the money stayed completely separate, untouchable by my spouse. Grandma Adelaide had known. Maybe not specifically about Marcus, but she'd known men like him existed. She'd protected me even from beyond the grave. Legal protections secured. Now for the trap itself. I researched industrial adhesives. I needed something strong enough to make a point but not toxic or permanently damaging. I wasn't trying to seriously hurt anyone. I wasn't a monster. I was just done being a victim. I found it, a medical-grade adhesive used in theatrical effects and emergency wound closure. Strong enough to bond skin temporarily but removable with proper solvents and medical intervention. Non-toxic, would require professional help, but wouldn't cause permanent damage. Perfect. I found an adult store 20 minutes away that sold personal lubricants in bottles similar enough to be switched. I bought one, emptied it, and prepared to fill it with the adhesive. Then I planned the timing. Marcus's text to Amber had said tonight, meaning he planned to sneak away on our wedding night while I slept. Probably drugged. I found sleeping pill residue searches in his browser history from 3 weeks ago, so I'd give him exactly what he wanted. I'd go through with the wedding, smile for every photo, dance every dance, play the perfect oblivious bride. Then I'd make sure when Amber showed up at our honeymoon suite, she'd find exactly what she deserved. I'd text her from Marcus's phone, lure her there, and ensure they were caught in the most undeniable, public, humiliating way possible. The plan crystallized in my mind with perfect clarity. This wasn't just about revenge, it was about protection, about making sure Marcus couldn't manipulate the narrative later, about creating undeniable evidence of their affair that would hold up in court, in public opinion, in every way that mattered. I would go through with this wedding because being legally married gave me rights, gave me access to the prenup protections, gave me standing to file for divorce on my terms with my evidence. I would document everything and create a situation so public, so witnessed, so impossible to deny that Marcus could never claim I was lying or vindictive or crazy. And I would make sure that everyone, our families, our friends, the entire world, knew exactly what they'd done. I looked at my reflection again, at the woman I was becoming. I'm not going to just be a victim, I whispered to myself. I'm going to make sure everyone knows what they did. The makeup artist knocked on my door. Sarah? I'm here. I closed my laptop and smiled. Time to become a bride. The ceremony was beautiful. Everyone said so. I walked down the aisle on my father's arm, my dress flowing behind me like a white river. The afternoon sun streamed through the stained glass windows of St. Catherine's Cathedral, painting everything in jeweled colors. 200 guests stood and turned to watch me, many with tears in their eyes. My mother was crying. My father squeezed my hand and whispered, "You're the most beautiful bride I've ever seen, princess." I smiled serenely, my bouquet steady in my hands. At the altar, Marcus waited in his tailored tuxedo, looking nervous, looking guilty, if you knew to look for it. Behind him, his groomsmen stood in a perfect line. And to my left, in her dusty rose bridesmaid dress, stood Amber. Perfect hair, perfect makeup, perfect smile, perfect liar. She caught my eye and mouthed, "You look amazing." I mouthed back, "Thank you." Father Thomas began the ceremony, the traditional words about love and commitment and forever. I heard them as if from very far away, my mind focused on what came next. On tonight, on the honeymoon suite and the bottle I'd prepared. "Do you, Marcus Chen, take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife?" "I do," his voice cracked slightly. "Guilt or anticipation of my trust fund?" "Do you, Sarah Mitchell, take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband?" This was it, my last chance to stop this, to walk away, to choose the path of least resistance. I looked into Marcus's eyes, saw the lie living there, saw 6 years of deception, and I smiled. "I do." We exchanged rings, kissed, turned to face the applause. Mr. and Mrs. Marcus Chen, legally bound. Which meant the prenup was now active, which meant every piece of evidence I had would hold up in divorce court. Which meant I had him exactly where I needed him. The reception was at the Grand Pavilion Ballroom, elegant, expensive, everything I dreamed of. We had our first dance. Cut the cake. I danced with my father while he cried happy tears that broke my heart because I knew what was coming, what I'd have to tell him eventually. And through it all, I watched Marcus. Watched him check his phone constantly. Watched him type quick messages when he thought no one was looking. Watched him catch Amber's eye across the room and exchange loaded glances. During the toasts, Amber stood with a champagne glass and spoke about friendship and love and how Marcus and I were meant to be. "Sarah is the kindest person I know," she said, her voice thick with fake emotion. "And Marcus, you're the luckiest man alive. Take care of her. She deserves the world." Everyone applauded. I smiled and raised my glass to her. You have no idea what's coming, I thought. By 11 p.m., we'd said goodbye to the last guests and headed up to the honeymoon suite, the presidential floor, the most expensive room in the hotel, everything perfect for a romantic wedding night. Marcus was slightly drunk from champagne and celebration. "Can you believe we're actually married?" he said, loosening his tie. "Mrs. Chen, it sounds perfect." "It does," I agreed, stepping out of my heels. Marcus headed to the bathroom to freshen up while I changed into my nightgown. The moment the bathroom door closed, I moved quickly. I'd hidden my prepared bottle in my suitcase that morning. Now I found Marcus's item in his overnight bag, packed and ready for his planned encounter with Amber. I emptied it completely, rinsed it thoroughly, and carefully filled it with the medical-grade adhesive I'd purchased. The bottles were identical, same brand, same color, same size. In the dark, in the heat of passion, no one would notice the difference until it was too late. I placed it back exactly where I'd found it, then arranged myself in bed. Marcus emerged and climbed into bed beside me. We talked for a while, him lying about how perfect everything was, me pretending to believe him. Then I faked a yawn. "I'm so exhausted," I murmured. "Best day ever, but I'm completely drained." "Get some sleep, babe," Marcus said, kissing my forehead. "I'll be right here." I closed my eyes and regulated my breathing, pretending to fall asleep quickly. I felt Marcus wait, testing to see if I was really out. After about 20 minutes, I heard him carefully slip out of bed. Through barely opened eyelids, I watched him grab his phone and tiptoe to the bathroom. I heard the soft sound of him texting. Minutes later, he came back to check on me again. Whispered my name. I didn't respond, keeping my breathing deep and even. Satisfied, he grabbed the bottle from his bag and waited. I stayed completely still, my heart pounding, listening to every sound. A soft knock at the door 15 minutes later. Marcus moved quickly to answer it, and I heard Amber's whispered voice. "Is she really asleep?" "Out cold," Marcus whispered back. "Come on." I heard them move toward the far side of the suite, away from where I lay, heard the rustling of movement, whispered words I couldn't quite make out. I was so disgusted at the fact that they were actually going to have sex with me right in the room. The level of disrespect. And then, after several minutes, I heard exactly what I'd been waiting for. "What the... Marcus, something's wrong." "What? What's wrong?" "I can't... Why won't this... Marcus, I'm stuck." "What do you mean stuck?" "I mean stuck. What did you use?" "This isn't... Oh my God, Marcus, I can't get unstuck." Panic in their voices now, scrambling, the realization dawning. What the hell is this? "This isn't... Sarah. Sarah." I sat up slowly in bed, turned on the lamp, and looked at them with perfect calm. They were tangled together, bonded at their intimate contact points, both their faces masks of horror and confusion, as they realized what had happened. "Good evening," I said pleasantly. "Having trouble?" "Sarah!" Amber screamed. "Help us! Something's wrong with the bottle?" I finished. "Yes, I know. I switched it this morning. Medical-grade adhesive. Very strong. Very effective." Marcus's face went from confusion to rage to terror in seconds. "You did this? You crazy? No, Marcus. Strategic. See, I found your text this morning. All of them. I know about the affair. I know about the trust fund plan. I know about tonight." I stood and walked closer, watching them struggle and only make things worse. And I decided that if you two wanted to be together so badly, I'd help make that happen. Permanently. "This is assault," Marcus shouted. "You're going to prison." Maybe. Or maybe I'm just the wife who discovered her husband stuck to her maid of honor on her wedding night. Such a terrible accident with the wrong bottle. I picked up the hotel phone. I should probably call for help. This looks like it might require medical attention. "Don't you dare." I dialed 911. "Yes, this is Sarah Chen in the presidential suite at the Grand Pavilion. I need emergency services immediately. I just woke up and found my husband and my maid of honor stuck together with some kind of adhesive. Yes, I'm serious. Please send paramedics and probably police." Then I called hotel security. Within 10 minutes, the suite was flooded with people. Paramedics in protective gear, trying to assess the situation while Marcus and Amber screamed explanations that only made them look worse. Police officers taking statements and photographs. Hotel security managing the growing crowd in the hallway, because yes, people heard the commotion and came to investigate. The lead paramedic, Rodriguez, Assess the situation with professional shock. This is industrial-grade adhesive. We can't separate them here. We'll need to transport them to St. Michael's Emergency. Both of them? I asked. Together? They're not going anywhere separately, ma'am. They had to maneuver Marcus and Amber onto a stretcher, still bonded together. The walk through the hotel was legendary. Guests gasped and recorded on their phones. Staff stared in disbelief. And me? I followed in my robe, the wronged bride, while my husband and former best friend were wheeled away, literally inseparable. At the hospital, it took hours of chemical solvents and careful medical work to separate them. Both would have minor scarring. The story went viral within hours. Photos, videos, social media posts. The bride whose husband was caught, quite literally, with her maid of honor. And I sat in the waiting room, already on the phone with a divorce attorney, knowing I'd won. The hospital waiting room at 3 a.m. was surprisingly crowded. A few people with actual medical emergencies, but mostly people who'd heard what happened and came to see if the viral story was real. I sat there in my hotel robe, makeup smudged, wedding hair falling apart, scrolling through my phone as the story exploded across social media. The photos were everywhere. Videos of Marcus and Amber being wheeled through the hotel lobby. Guests interviewed about what they'd witnessed. Within 2 hours, I had over 50 text messages, 20 missed calls, and my story was trending on 3 different platforms. My mother called, hysterical. My father demanded to know what happened. I told them I'd explain everything later, but right now I needed them to trust me. Then Officer Morrison approached with a business card. Mrs. Chen, this is from my wife Rachel. She's a divorce attorney, one of the best in the state. He handed it to me. She said to tell you that if you need representation, call her. First consultation free. And, he paused, something like respect in his tired eyes. She said what they did to you was despicable. You deserve better. I took the card with shaking hands. Thank you. For what it's worth, he said quietly. I've been doing this job for 20 years. Seen a lot of domestic cases. What you did was extreme, but what they did was worse. Document everything. Get a good lawyer. Protect yourself. I called Rachel Morrison at 3:47 a.m. She answered on the second ring, wide awake. Sarah? This is Rachel. My husband just texted me. Are you okay? I'm fine. They're the ones in surgery. A pause. Then good. Listen, don't talk to anyone about what happened. Not police, not Marcus, not his lawyers. Refer everyone to me. We're going to bury him so deep legally he'll wish adhesive was his biggest problem. Can you come to my office tomorrow? Bring every text message, every email, every piece of evidence you have. I have screenshots of months of messages, plans about my trust fund, everything. Perfect. Sarah, you did something risky tonight, but you also protected yourself brilliantly. That prenup he insisted on? It's about to destroy him. 3 months later, I stood in divorce court wearing a navy suit and my grandmother's pearl earrings. Marcus sat across the aisle with his expensive attorney, still bearing faint scars on his hands and torso. He wouldn't look at me. His parents sat behind him, their faces masks of shame and anger. Amber wasn't there. She'd moved back to Ohio 2 weeks after the incident, reportedly too humiliated to stay in the city. Last I heard, she'd deleted all her social media and was in therapy. Judge Patricia Coleman reviewed the evidence with meticulous care. The affair texts, the financial planning documents showing Marcus's interest in my trust fund, the timeline proving months of deception, and yes, the incident with the adhesive. Marcus's attorney stood. Your Honor, my client nearly required skin grafts. Mrs. Chen's actions constitute assault. She should face criminal charges, and this court should. Sit down, counselor. Judge Coleman's voice was ice. I've reviewed the police reports, medical records, and most importantly, the evidence of your client's affair and attempted fraud. She looked directly at Marcus. Mr. Chen, you entered into this marriage with fraudulent intent. You carried on an affair with your wife's maid of honor for months. You plan to access Mrs. Chen's inheritance and then, based on these text messages, likely divorce her and take half. You thought she was too naive to notice. The judge's expression was stone. "You were wrong." Marcus's face went red. "Your Honor, what she did was respond to extreme emotional trauma with an extreme action. Was it advisable? No. Was it legal? Barely. But was it understandable given what you did to her? Absolutely." Judge Coleman shuffled papers. "I'm denying your request for criminal charges against Mrs. Chen. What she did was wrong, but what you did was worse. You got what you deserved, literally." A few people in the gallery laughed. Marcus's attorney tried to object, but the judge silenced him with a look. "As for the divorce proceedings, I'm granting Mrs. Chen's petition. The infidelity clause in your prenuptial agreement, the one you insisted on to prove your commitment, is hereby invoked. Mr. Chen, you will receive nothing from this marriage. No alimony, no shared assets, and certainly no access to Mrs. Chen's trust fund." "This is bullshit," Marcus exploded, standing. "She assaulted me. She's crazy. Sit down, Mr. Chen, or I'll hold you in contempt." Judge Coleman's voice could have frozen fire. "Additionally, you will pay all court costs and attorney fees for both parties. You will also pay Mrs. Chen's therapy costs for the emotional distress you caused. Do you understand?" Marcus sat, his attorney pulling him down, his face purple with rage. "Mrs. Chen," the judge continued, her voice softening slightly, "you're officially divorced. You're free to go. And a word of advice? Next time someone betrays you, take them to court. Not the emergency room." "Yes, Your Honor. I understand. Good. This court is adjourned." Outside the courthouse, Rachel Morrison shook my hand firmly. "You won everything. He leaves with nothing but legal bills and scars, and his reputation destroyed," I added, thinking of the viral story that refused to die. "He was fired from the investment firm 3 days after the wedding. Last I heard, he's living with his parents and working temp jobs." "Good," Rachel smiled. "And you? How are you really doing?" I thought about it. 3 months since my wedding day. 3 months since my life exploded. 3 months of therapy, tears, rebuilding. "I'm surviving," I said honestly. "Some days are harder than others. 6 years doesn't just disappear. But I'm not the victim. I'm not the stupid girl who didn't see it coming. I'm the woman who fought back." "You're damn right you are." I walked down the courthouse steps into the spring sunshine. My phone buzzed with a text from my mother. "Dinner tonight? Your father's making your favorite. So proud of you, sweetheart." Another text from a number I didn't recognize. "I saw your story. My fiancé was cheating too. Your courage helped me leave. Thank you," I smiled. Marcus had wanted to use me, to take my grandmother's money while keeping his mistress. Instead, he became a cautionary tale, a viral story, a reminder that actions have consequences. And me, I kept my money, my dignity, and my power. Most importantly, I kept myself. A year has passed since that wedding night. A year since I became the woman who glued her cheating husband to his mistress and broke the internet. I've learned so much in these 12 months. I learned that being nice doesn't mean being weak, that kindness without boundaries is just letting people use you. My grandmother was right. The world will eat you alive if you don't have a backbone. But here's what she didn't tell me. Discovering your backbone doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you a survivor. I'm not the same woman who stood in that hotel bathroom crying over text messages. I'm stronger now, wiser. I know my worth. I know that trust must be earned, not freely given. I know that sometimes the people who underestimate you are the ones who give you the power to rise. If you're facing betrayal right now, whether it's a cheating partner, a backstabbing friend, or anyone who's used your kindness against you, know this: you don't have to just take it. You don't have to smile through the pain to be the bigger person. Sometimes, being the bigger person means protecting yourself fiercely, and that's exactly what I did. Thank you for listening to my story. I know it's wild, probably the craziest thing you'll hear today. Drop a comment and tell me, would you have done the same thing? Or would you have handled it differently? I genuinely want to know. If this story resonated with you, hit that subscribe button. I've got more stories about people who fought back when life tried to break them. And remember, you're stronger than you think. Even when someone betrays you, Even when it feels like the end of the world, you have power. Use it wisely. See you in the next one.